What's up everybody? Before we get into the video, on the screen right now you can see the results of my own custom built trading algorithm, which has been successful so far. You can see the results right here on the screen if you want to. It upgrades every single week. It's not perfect, not every trade is a winner of course, but it has been profitable so far, and the best news is you can gain access to this, or at least a limited number of you can gain access to this. I'm capping it at 50 right now. If you sign up to the Signal group, you gain access to my trade calls, custom indicator, trading guides with also this algorithm. Links will be down in the description. Like I said, if you're interested in that, be quick. But now let's get on to the video. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Solinix Crypto, and welcome back to a new video right here on the crypto markets. We're going to do a full update on the current situation. We'll talk about fundamentals. We'll talk about Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum specifically. And then we'll talk a little bit about altcoins. I think altcoins at the moment are kind of dead, right? I mean, there's not a huge amount of altcoins that I would say are outperforming the markets or are very interesting at this point of time, but that's okay, of course. But we'll have a quick look at that, and just in general, I'll try to keep you prepared and updated on the markets as well as I can. Getting into the markets as a whole right now, and when we're talking about the fundamentals, over the course of the weekend, I was quite certain that we would get such an escalation when it comes to the Middle East that would be enough to cause a pullback market-wide. But we did not really get that, right? I mean, there were some signs of escalation, but ultimately it always was like, it always came back down to potential peace talks again. And that's also the latest, at least I have seen, that we are most likely going to have peace talks again. Or at least that there has been some sort of an initiative. And that's also why the fundamentals at the moment look pretty good. And with these fundamentals, I think it's very unlikely that we're going to pull back market-wide, right? Equities are very strong. Oil prices are much lower still than last week. They jumped up higher with the open, but they're still lower. Volatility index, same thing, right? Volatility index also opened higher, but is lower than it was last week. So that's positive development. And then when we're talking about the fundamentals, for crypto specifically, we still have a strong Coinbase Bitcoin premium, which historically has always been a good sign of strong markets, right? Now, the price is not going to move up only whenever we have a Coinbase Bitcoin premium, but it does tell you something about the markets. And at the moment, we still have negative funding rates, right? So that also tells you a little bit about spot versus futures, and that's a good thing. So with that, I cannot be super bearish. I mean, when we're looking at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is obviously the best asset to look at because most altcoins just follow Bitcoin with a few exceptions. And for me, the critical level very much was this level right here at 74,500. And I also told you over the course of the weekend, I mean, if we lose that, then the path is open for a drop down into 72,000. I'm not sure what's happening. I think my internet is not doing so great. So then the path is open for a move into 72,000, which I think is at the moment the bearish case scenario, right? So if we get some very bad news, I think this is the move we'll get, and then 72,000 is going to be very important and likely also an interesting buy area, to be fair. But the question is okay, are we going to be able to hold this level right here for Bitcoin and get a move into the upside, right? So we have a CME gap and just some general gaps around 76,500. And then from there we'll reject, but then we have some stability at least. Are we going to have something like this, or are we going to pull back under 74,500 into 72,000 and have stability on top of that? These are the two scenarios at the moment for me, and which one of the two is going to be correct depends a lot on what happens when it comes to the headlines, when it comes to the fundamentals. But at the moment, I'd say I think it's a little bit more likely that we will hold this level, right? So that we will be able to get a move into the upsides, and that we will be able to hold this area right here. You can see so far today, we had a nice reclaim of the previous quarter VWAP. We had a nice reclaim of the previous week VWAP, which is at 74,750. We reclaimed the 7-day rolling VWAP. It's not with huge volume, all of this, but it's more bullish than bearish. And then when the fundamentals are good enough as well, I'll take it. And I think it's a little bit more likely that we'll retain stability here instead of dumping down lower at the moment. XRP, same thing. Reclaimed the previous month VWAP very, very, very nicely. We got some strength coming in as well. Ethereum is a little bit more difficult. I mean, obviously we had that major hack on Saturday of the layer 0 bridge and kelp DAO, etc. And that has some negative implications for DeFi. DeFi is always connected to Ethereum. But there's also a lot of Ethereum just generally that has to be sold off. So that's slightly bearish for Ethereum. I would stay away from Ethereum at the moment. And one of the key reasons is also that hack. But at the moment, ETH BTC is also just relatively weak. So if you want to buy Ethereum, you're most likely better off just buying Bitcoin at that moment. So those are my thoughts kind of on the majors and on the general market and on the fundamentals. When we're talking about altcoins, like I said, I'm a little bit less interested in altcoins. The Bitcoin dominance has also been very strong since Friday and Saturday, which is normal because when uncertainty enters the markets, usually you see that altcoins start to underperform a little bit. There are still a couple of altcoins though that I actually thought were interesting and that I did want to talk about with all of you. First of all, I actually think Pengu is quite strong. It's within the range, but the amount of volume here after the drop over the course of the weekend and the recovery that we've seen, this is one of the best recoveries in the last 24 hours I've seen across the markets, and I'm seeing a little bit more activity and positive sentiment around Pengu as well. So that is an interesting altcoin to watch. It's like all of these altcoins are not instant buys, but they're interesting. Chiliz, same thing. Chiliz got a high, so that's CHZ. Got a high volume move into critical resistance, so it's still trading under resistance, right? So again, not an instant buy. Interesting project though, especially going into the World Cup, football World Cup. And then last but not least, more recently, we're also seeing some signs of outperformance of Mental, right? So that's the main centralized exchange coin of Bybit, which could be interesting. That has seen quite a lot of bearish momentum, as you can see right here. If that's able to get some sort of a reclaim above 64, 65 cents, that could turn into some sort of a recovery move. So that's the last one that I kind of wanted to highlight here in terms of altcoins. But those are my thoughts on the markets. That's generally what I think you need to know about the fundamentals. Like I said, it's 100% advised to keep your eyes on the headlines, right? So an account like Deity1 on X is very good with that. You see a lot of headlines, and most of these are correct. And so yeah, that's something like that you should watch, right? That is most likely going to cause the next major move outside of this consolidation range, but this consolidation range around the current prices is what I think is most likely at the moment. So those are my thoughts. I'll be back with new videos tomorrow. I'll try to keep you updated on X as well if anything major happens. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But for now, that's it. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you all in my next videos. Take care and bye.